Hi guys, Brian Janin here again, and I'm here to offer some tips on approaching IB language and literature and IB literature during this time when you might be doing a lot of distance learning. I've told you before that I'm an examiner, I was deputy chief examiner, I've written textbooks, I've made up the exams, but one of the other things I also did was help to design the curriculum with a team of other educators. So I designed the last curriculum, the original IB language and literature course, and I worked on the redesign this time as well. So something like 15 years worth of curriculum design. And I'm going to tell you the thing that I think we mess up in curriculum design. And if I tell you the mistake that I think we make in curriculum design, it might give you some insight into where you should really focus your attention when you're studying language and literature, or when you're spending time now during this time of distance learning when you're trying to wonder what's most important for me to do. So here's the mistake. I think that we get everything right when we talk about the aims of language and literature or the aims of literature. And the first day of curriculum review, last time, 15 years ago, this time, 4 or 5 years ago, is we sit down and we say, what are we trying to do? What are we trying to do in the literature classroom, in the language and literature classroom? What's most important? What do authors do and what are they concerned with? What do readers do and what are readers concerned with? What are critics and professionals concerned with? Uh, what do we really want to be doing in the classroom? And we sit around the table and we talk about what really matters to us. And we put these on the whiteboard and we start to look at how some of them are similar and how some of them are different. And we all have slightly different opinions, but it's amazing because there's so much overlap at that point of curriculum review. We all think that those big aims are what we're really trying to do. We're really trying to get you to read a diversity of material. We're really trying to get you to respond and think about context and to think about how authors create meaning. We're really trying to get you to have a lifelong enjoyment of language and literature and the other aims. These are the big things. They're the things that really matter. But I'll tell you what, every step along the way from there kind of corrupts those aims a little bit. And not on purpose. We're not, and it's not a mistake that we have to make this mistake because we're trying to create a product, create a framework that people around the world can follow. So then we take those aims and say, okay, now if a teacher wanted to put these into a curriculum, how would that curriculum make sense? And then I think we do a pretty good job. We create the areas of exploration, or what used to be the parts. And these areas of exploration, this time especially, make a lot of sense. We've really kind of created three different broad lenses to look at language and literature. And they make sense in a progression. They make sense as a way of building your understanding of language and literature over time. But, but there's difficulty there and artificiality there because you can't just separate your study of language and literature into these distinct areas so easily. They overlap for sure. Perhaps every work doesn't seem to work with an area, or perhaps it seems a little bit too prescriptive. The idea is that we create something really nice, I think, but it's kind of a corruption of those aims. And then we think to ourselves, okay, how do we check if students know these things and understand these things and are able to do the things we want them to do in language and literature? So we make up an assessment. Whoa, and that really messes things up. Why? Because teachers and students, rightly so, are worried about those assessments. So they start preparing for the assessment and thinking about the assessment and what do I have to do next and how's this assessment going to work and what book would work best with this assessment. And it's a corruption of those areas of exploration and those big guiding conceptual questions which are so inquiry driven and getting at what matters. And those are a corruption of the aims all at the start. Then even if our assessment is pretty good, and I think it's okay, we kind of mess the assessment up when we make up the assessment criteria, because then we're not even thinking about the assessment. You're starting to say, but what do I have to do to get 5 points instead of 4 points? What do I have to do? And there's no easy answer to that. So the best part of curriculum review is when we're thinking about what really matters. And what really matters are those big aims. So I think in a time when you can't do everything, in a time when you can't have contact with your teacher as you normally would, in a time when you can't be together with your classmates, to me, the best thing you could possibly do is try to think what really matters. Go back to the big aims. Go back to the thing that we get really right. And then you're going to be able to engage, learn, think, and grow, and not worry about all those corruptions along the way. Hope you have a good day.